phase of your career and life, regardless of your age. Now, here's your host, Lisa Downs.
Welcome to Reigniting You, where we talk all things career transition for those age 40 plus. I'm Lisa Downs, Seattle-based career and retirement transition coach. Happy to be here with you and our producer, Eric. Hey, Eric, happy almost New Year.
Yes, good afternoon. Happy post-Christmas. Happy New Year's Eve.
Yes, New Year's Eve. Instead of last week when it was Christmas Eve. I don't know that I've been quite ready for a new year to start as I have this time around. But
well, yeah, I'm ready for this year to end. I'm not sure if I'm ready for the next one to start,
begin,
but
yeah.
I guess that leaves me in some kind of purgatory.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
That's for sure. So we have another great guest here today, Nanci Appleman-Vassil of APLS Group, who's here to talk with me about her career path and the importance of lifelong learning when in career transition. And I'll introduce Nanci right after this first break.
Climbing the corporate ladder used to lead to success and a satisfying retirement. That ladder is now broken. You want to succeed today. Stop playing by yesterday's rules. 5 out of 6 millionaires started their own business. Now you can too. Introducing FranNet, your local franchise resource. With enough franchise options to fill CenturyLink Field, FranNet will help you find the right fit to realize your dream of being your own boss in a successful business. Be in business for yourself, not by yourself. Charlie McGee can help. Learn more at FranNet.com.
Are you feeling challenged or frustrated without a plan for what's next in your career and life? Are you seeing writings on the wall for needing to make a mid to late career change and don't know how or what to do? Coach Lisa Downs of New Aspect Coaching can guide you to what's next, providing a fresh perspective and supporting you to create a clear and compelling vision for your future and a plan to move forward. Call Lisa at 425-216-3015. That's 425-216-3015. New Aspect Coaching, fresh perspectives for your career.
Be sure to support the sponsors of your favorite shows on Alternative Talk 1150.
Welcome back to Reigniting You, the show that focuses on all aspects of making mid to late career transitions. Thank you to our sponsor, FranNet, your franchise experts. I'm excited to introduce my guest today, Nanci Appleman-Vassil. Nanci is the founder and CEO of APLS Group, a leadership, talent development, coaching, and consulting organization established in 2000 and based in Raleigh, North Carolina. She's recognized as an experienced facilitator, consultant, and executive coach, focusing on core competencies in both corporate and nonprofit environments to help them achieve their desired results. Before starting APLS Group, Nanci was a corporate facilitator for the Fortune 500 company R.H. Donnelley and a director of programs at the NTL Institute for Applied Behavioral Science. She's the current president of the North Carolina chapter of the National Speakers Association and is the author of the book 18 Common Mistakes Small Business Owners Make, as well as a contributing author of the book GPS for Success, Goals and Proven Strategies. Hi, Nanci. Welcome to the show. So happy that you're here.
Thank you, Lisa. I'm delighted to be here with you today.
Excellent. And so I'm always curious about, with any guest who comes on the show, always like to start about just a bit with your background and your own career path. So what's your story that's led you to your current work?
Yeah, so thank you for the question. It really is a thought-provoking and kind of puts you down that path. So I grew up in an era where you either were a teacher, a nurse, or a homemaker, all in the helping professions. And then when I was in high school, I went to work in the guidance office and found out that I had a strong interest in psychology and about people, right, and how they operate. And so when I went to the University of Denver, I got a degree in psychology and also education. And I was chosen to work on a 2-year research project on primacy, recency, first impression, latter impressions with the dean of the psychology department. And that led me to think, well, you know what? I want to go get a master's degree in counseling. So I did that and then realized, oh, counseling is so heavy. it's like you're listening to people's problems all day. And I'm such a feeler that I was like, I don't know that I can do this. So I wandered a bit, got into the hotel business, and then got married, moved to a new location, all the things that I would tell somebody not to do. And there I was thinking, what am I going to do with my career? And I went to Manpower Temporary Services, and I landed a one-day assignment at this place called NTL Institute for the Behavioral Sciences. And one day became 12 and a half years.
Wow.
And I was amazed because I had all this book knowledge, but I didn't have any practical knowledge. And here were all these heavy hitters in the behavioral sciences like Ken Blanchard, Peter Vail, Marv Weisborg, Ron Lippitt, all these people that had, really had a profound impact in terms of OD and training. And so then I said, well, okay, maybe this is the path. I don't want to be a teacher in the school system. I would rather be an educator in corporate America or nonprofit world. And so I went and got all these certifications. I got certified in Myers-Briggs. I got certified as an OD consultant. I got certified as a training person. And then I got laid off and then moved here to North Carolina, got a job with RH Donnelly. And after 5 years where I was able to implement a lot of that stuff that I had learned, and then I got laid off and I got the services of DBM, which was Drake Beam Morin at that time, which is now Lee Heft Harrison. And I thought to myself, oh, okay, here's my opportunity. So here were my choices. My choice was go back into corporate America and get laid off a third time, which I call a trifecta, and I wasn't really interested in, or do I venture out and do my own thing? And that's what it started. July 1st of 2000, I've been owning my own business.
Excellent.
And coaching and counseling others on how to be an entrepreneur as well.
Cool. Well, congratulations on over 20 years. That's amazing.
Yes, thank you.
And just to clarify for our listeners, so when you say OD, that's organizational development, correct?
Yes, thank you.
Okay,
Sometimes we forget that not everybody knows the lingo, so thank you for that.
We've all got our jargon, that's for sure.
That's right. And in fact,
And acronyms.
yes, and that's actually a funny story because when I first said, what is OD? There was a workshop called What is OD? What is organization development? And at the end of it, I realized, oh, this is what is to corporate, to the corporate environment as to what counseling is on a one-on-one basis.
Yeah.
So it was like really made the connection.
Very cool. And what's been a key lesson for you that you've learned throughout your career?
Well, I think we're learning it now, with being grateful that 2020 is almost over. We only have another day, but I think it's about resilience. I think it's about not giving up. I think it's about believing in yourself. I can't say to you that I didn't have pity me parties and say to myself, like, what am I going to do with my life and what direction am I going in? I think the other thing is lesson learned is about finding your passion and going with it. Because otherwise you end up in a job.
Yeah.
And then you end up in another job. And what it is work as opposed to passion.
Yeah. Very true, I believe. And sometimes people will say, well, I don't know, or, I don't really have a passion, or, can't really think of anything. But to me, it's just really boils down to what drives you.
Yes.
What, what kind of feeds you and feeds that professional and personal part of you.
Yes.
So sometimes folks have a struggle figuring that out, but I always like to think of it as, it's really what motivates you, what drives you. And then the rest we can figure that out.
Right. And it's very true. And then it's also understanding that you do have transferable skills.
Yeah.
I happened to see your piece today in LinkedIn, and I was thinking, yeah, that's absolutely on target. Because I've counseled a lot of people that say, well, I only know this business. I only know this line of work. I would say the other thing, Lisa, is about being curious, being curious and open to, let me step into that water that may be that uncharted water. We all had to do that in March when this whole situation, I'm calling it a situation these days, not a pandemic. It's just like a situation occurred.
Gotcha. And what else has been particularly helpful to you that's gotten you through times of change? So, whether that was different actions you took when you hit certain decision points or people who supported you.
Mhm. So being an extrovert, networking is extremely important to me. Just having a 30-minute or hour-long conversation with a colleague, where it's a balance of personal and professional that kind of gets you in the groove to know that you can leap forward. I think it's getting feedback from others about what they're seeing that you may not see yourself, about what may be contributing to your success or contributing to you being stuck in
Mm.
some ways. It's a lot easier for somebody else to see it than it
Yeah.
is sometimes for ourselves to see it. I would also say the other thing that has helped is joining associations
Mhm.
that were aligned with my passion. So ATD, Association of Talent Development, which is where I met you,
Yeah.
and uh, NSA, which is the National Speakers Association, where I have my network of working with speakers, and then also NTL, the National Training Labs Institute, which I'm a member of as well. And so I think that gives me three, and we can really not do more than three things at one time, really has allowed me to stay connected in those three arenas, which are important to me
Hmm. Great.
as well. And I think it's about being, I use the term raw.
Hmm.
It's like not putting any facades, not trying to be somebody else,
Yeah.
but getting in touch with that root cause or that core of what's working or not working for you and what you
Well,
need.
yeah. So important to get
Mhm.
to that. Yeah. Really, who are you, at that core? And to
Yes.
really get down to that so everything else can fall into place. Well,
Mhm.
but thanks so much, Nancy, for sharing about your career path with us and those insights. And it's time already for our next break. When
Oh.
we come back, Nancy and I will talk about how lifelong learning can lead to great things when making career transitions. Hi, I'm Lisa Downs, career and retirement transition coach and host of Reigniting You on KKNW. I guide age 40 plus professionals to gain clarity, a renewed sense of purpose, and a career transition plan within 90 days so you can lead a fulfilling life regardless of your age. No longer does change have to mean riding off into the proverbial sunset. Let's talk about what your next phase of life can look like. Visit yournewaspect.com or call me at 425 216 3015. That's 425 216 3015. New Aspect Coaching. Fresh perspectives for your career.
I'm Nathan Mumm, and I'm the host of Tech Time Radio. Tech Time Radio is officially on KKNW from Saturdays from 4 to 5 p.m. You can listen to our show live. We are excited to also then rebroadcast our episodes on Thursday morning from 6 to 7 a.m. The hosts cover top tech stories with a funny spin.
That's good.
So,
Hooked on Phonics worked for you, didn't it?
It did, just a little bit. Grab your weekly technology without having to geek out.
Yeah, I can imagine.
We talk technology for the everyday common person.
What's your story? Have you ever sat with that question and looked to your heart for the answer? It's time to explore the real you. Tune in Thursdays from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. for the brand new show, Story You, with Coach Debbie. Debbie and her guests have a mission to inspire and coach you to find your voice. If you need direction, Story You with Coach Debbie is for you. If you want to be an author, Story You with Coach Debbie is for you. Tune in Thursdays at 4 p.m. and be inspired. Have a career transition related question or want to share your best or worst job story? Call 360-436-6496. That's 360-436-6496. Just leave a voicemail and we'll answer your question or share your story on a future show. Stay tuned for more Reigniting You with Lisa Downs.
Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/1150kknw.
Welcome back to Reigniting You, the show that discusses timely issues and topics about career transitions for Gen Xers and Boomers. I'm your host, Lisa Downs. We're here with Nanci Appleman-Vassil of APLS Group. Nanci, let's go ahead and pick back up with our conversation. So, you and I have talked many times about the importance of lifelong learning when it comes to continued growth in our careers and life beyond that. And what does that phrase mean to you? And why would you say it's critical for those in career transition?
So I use that term a lot, like you mentioned, and it's because to me, we're constantly learning it's like feeding our system, right? Our body, our mind. And so it's nurturing that curious part of us that wants to understand why something is the way it is or what is that all about. It's also about building new skills, and it's about enhancing the skills we already have. I think about, like, as an example, getting certified by something 15 years ago. I need to stay attuned and upgrade that, because 15 years ago, we're not in the same place and space that we were then. I would say the other thing it's about, as we talked about before the commercial, it's about allowing myself to take in new information. And what that does is it allows me to increase my knowledge, increase my wisdom. I'm seen as an expert. And the other thing is as a lifelong learner, I'm alive because I'm engaged.
Yeah.
That's what it means to me. And it's critical. It's critical because it doesn't matter how old you are, how long you've been in the workforce. It's about what's the contribution you can make, and is it a win-win for you and the organization that you're working with.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's so much out there too about just the need to stay engaged and active and keeping our mind sharp and active. So when we don't, then that risk really comes into play of that downward spiral as we get older, and especially if we retire from a full-time career, just to degradation of our health and our mental fitness, our physical fitness. So
Oh,
critical.
absolutely. Yeah,
And
I was going to say that I see it even in, like, if I exercise every day, but then I don't exercise for 2 or 3 days, my body does a complete reversal, and
yeah,
I've got to start it all over again. And it's the same thing that happens. So if I'm not a lifelong learner, that's what's going to happen as well.
yeah, for
Mhm.
sure. And
Mhm.
sometimes people will say that, well, I don't need to keep learning. I've reached the pinnacle of my career, or I've done what I've set out to do. Especially once they do retire because their careers are about done. What would your response be to those folks?
Well, I would disagree with in capital letters and lots of exclamation points, because I think that it's really important to the image I have is, am I going to sit in a rocking chair and just stare?
Mm-hmm.
Or am I going to be active and alive and engaged? And I think that's the difference.
Yeah.
The difference is am I giving up, or am I embracing in a new chapter?
Mm-hmm.
And whatever that chapter may be. And I think that that's really critical.
Yeah, I think so too. And as well as for those who, may still want to work part-time, may only want to semi-retire, or folks who, are in their mid to late career and are looking to do something else. It's like, well, the only way to really get there is to keep an open mind and keep learning, and it's how we get better as people. I mean, I always say, the day I stop learning is the day I take my last breath, because we're humans, and
Yes,
there's always so
absolutely.
much more we can learn, and we make mistakes every single day, and always
Absolutely.
something to learn. So that's great.
Yeah, because it's changing. And when you think about, I think technology has made it easier
Mm-hmm.
to learn,
Yeah.
for it to be in our faces quicker than it used to be. Like, you had to go to the library and you had to go do those other kinds of things. Now you just have to open up your computer, and
Yeah.
there's, tons of information coming at you very quickly.
Yeah. Part of it, I think, now is just sorting through all that, right?
Yes,
And
exactly.
figuring out, well, what's the information that's going to be valuable,
Right,
and what
right,
is the information that's actually factual these days? So that's
right.
an issue for sure.
That's another conversation for
That's a
another
whole
day.
other show, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. Because how often do we go to look for something and an hour later we're like, how did we end up here?
Yeah, we go down some rabbit hole, right, and
That
chasing
right,
information
right.
around, and but it is amazing how much is at our disposal now and just at our
Yes,
fingertips.
yes,
And
yes, which is great.
part
Absolutely
of
great.
our growth as people too, I think,
Mhm.
is often gaining the sense and confidence of being comfortable in our own skin and comfortable with who we are.
Yes.
What advice would you give to those who don't think they've developed this yet, and
Mhm.
why does it matter?
Yeah. So I think it's so critical to figure out what's at your core.
Mhm.
As you know, I spend a lot of times in a Pilates class, and I'm learning more and more about my core and about breathing and the connection and the importance of that. And I think about with this, the sooner that I can feel confident and competent in what I'm doing, the more I can excel.
Mhm.
And the self-limiting things that I say to myself, like, oh, I can't do this, or really, this is really hard. I think about it from a training perspective when we all learn some off-the-shelf program, and it takes about 3 or 4 times before we become comfortable enough to feel like it's our own and that we're not mass producing whatever was in that book, right?
Yeah.
And so I would encourage people to get at that core, get that stability that they need, and do it, because once you do, you become more powerful, more authentic, and you have a greater return on that for yourselves. And that
Mhm.
it causes you to want to do it more.
Yeah. And just by way of follow-up on that, what would you say helped you really get that sense of who you truly are and for you to get comfortable with that?
Yeah. So I think, again, a product of my environment, there was a certain way you were supposed to be, a certain way you were supposed to behave, certain way you were supposed to deliver, and interact with people. And the day that I stopped looking at everybody else and saying, oh, look at what they're doing. And I realized that that's not me. It'll
Mhm.
never be me, is the day that I was able to say, what you see is what you get now.
Yeah.
And I'm free.
Yeah.
I'm free because I don't, you can either like me or not like what I have to say. You can either love me or hate me. I'm still going to say what I need to say. I'm still going
Yeah.
to behave in the way that I need to behave. And I think this new generation that's coming into the workplace has a different sense of that than I
Mhm.
did when I came into the workplace
Yeah.
as
Well,
well.
yeah, and that's so critical, I think, just to, as you said, just to make progress and to
Mhm.
realize that it's not about comparing ourselves to other people all the time.
Right.
Yeah, it's about, yeah, who we are, what drives us, what our
Mhm.
own possibilities are, what we
Mhm.
see for our future, our vision, which is totally different from anybody else. And
Yeah.
yeah, I guess for me, yeah, part of it happened when I finally gave up trying to play sports.
Mm.
And I had to realize that, I'm just not, I think I was born with the athletic ability of a rock. But I love sports. I love watching sports, watching other
Yeah.
people play sports, and
Yeah.
I admire elite athletes and everything. But it was like, yeah, that's just not ever going to be me.
Yeah.
So, and it's okay.
Yeah. And thank you for putting it in that context, because now I can tell you I quit ballet when I was in sixth
Yeah.
grade because I couldn't get up on my toes.
Oh, yeah. Well, it
Yeah,
kills your feet.
that's right.
My mom,
Exactly.
my mom did. My mom spent a season with the San Francisco Ballet Company.
Wow.
And, she only lasted a season because she said, "One night I was laying on my back and had my mangled feet up in the air against the wall and going, 'Why am I doing this to myself?'"
Yeah.
So she got out. Yeah. I never even tried it, but
But that's a real important thing that you just said. Not that you decided not to get in it, but more of the fact of having that moment of clarity.
yeah.
Your mom had that moment of clarity where she said, what am I doing this for?
Yeah.
I'm
Yep.
not getting pleasure from it anymore.
Right.
Like, people ask me, why are you still working full time? Why do you still own a business? Like, why aren't you retiring like some of your other friends? And I'm like, what for?
Yeah.
I
I
love what I do, so why would I do that?
yeah. Like, if you're still
Pace
enjoying it,
myself, as my coach told me I need to pace
that's
myself.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. Pace yourself.
Mhm,
Absolutely. And,
mhm.
what do you think about your own learning? What are some of your favorite ways to do that?
So I'm a visual and hands-on person. And so for me, it's the kinds of activities where I can roll up my sleeves and touch it and feel it and experience it. I like to watch videos, like short videos, because my attention span's like everybody else. It's only about 8 to 12 seconds. So if you don't get me a hello, watch out. And then I really like to solve problems. So I like to take a project, and that's how I learn. And I am someone who, at the end of everything that I do a debrief. And that I learned from NTL.
Cool.
It was about debriefing the experience, what was good about it, what didn't work so well, what do we need to do differently, what are you going to start, stop, continue, those kinds of things. And I think it really helps. And again, it's learning from my colleagues.
That's great.
Like every time you and I get together, I learn something new.
Very cool. Well, thank you for that. And Nanci, how can people find you?
So it's very easy. It's Nanci, but it's Nanci with an I. So it's Nanci at APLSgroup.com or at www.aplsgroup.com.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much for being here, Nanci, and sharing your story and words of advice and encouragement. I really appreciate it, and you're sharing your wisdom with us.
Thank you, Lisa, and Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you, too. And it's time for this week's reignition recommendation, and that's to create a new introduction for yourself to debut in 2021 that does not mention a specific role or title and is instead based on what you provide or value you bring as part of who you are. Remember that your identity is more than a job or role, and that you are the one who gets to define it. So thanks, Eric, for your support today as always. And speaking of learning, what did you learn from our time with Nanci today?
I just learned what a great story she has, and what a great conversation. And
fabulous.
I've got some more research to do, as always, after this show.
Excellent. Well, join us next Wednesday at 3 o'clock when my guest will be Jennifer Master of Master Recruiting and Consulting, who will help me answer our career transition question of the month for January. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you next week on Reigniting You, and have a very happy New Year.